Hi, I'm Ralph Preston, and on Tuesdays we have these Stroke Buddies stroke support group meetings where we focus on recovery and science, and we try and bring you information that's good for recovery, positive stories, and today we have both. We have Maddi Niebanck, and she's a hemorrhagic stroke survivor herself. I won't tell too much of her story because that's her job. And she got made a pretty good recovery. Somewhere along the line, discovered CIONIC, neurosleeve, and has now transitioned into working for the company as a outreach and public relations manager. I'm not sure I got her exact title right, but that's basically what she's doing. So let's let Maddie tell her story, and she's got a little PowerPoint that she's going to use to do that with.
Sure, yeah, let me go ahead and share that. Hi, everybody. I know I'm recognizing some of the names on here. I think you can see my screen. My name is Maddie. Excuse me, like Ralph mentioned, and I'm here to talk to you all today about my own journey with stroke recovery, and then tying into that my return to work. And now currently I am community engagement and advocacy manager of a biotech startup called CIONIC. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about that as well. So yes, this is me. Obstacles are opportunities, and I'm sharing with you my stroke recovery journey. Mm. My story begins that I'm going to tell you all in the year 2002. So not to date myself, but I was 7 years old in 2002. And why this is important is because when I was seven, I can remember the exact moment. I was sitting in Miss Pruding's second grade math class, learning how to solve word problems, when I was struck with my very first migraine. Migraines, if any of you get them, I'm sure you know, are honestly, I would not wish them on anyone. The most severe, debilitating pain. I would get an aura that would block my vision such that I couldn't see anything and I would have to lay down. But none of the medicine that I tried, and I've tried every migraine medication under the sun, and none of them really did anything to help alleviate the pain. And it all culminated for me when I was 15 years old. I had a migraine that lasted for 24 days, and I had to go to the ER multiple times. I had a medication cocktail, an IV to kind of help, but it really wasn't. And my neurologist said, "This is not normal. We need to get this checked out. Obviously, this isn't normal. No one should be having unrelenting migraine pain for a month." Um, so I got the MRI, which revealed that I had what is known as an arteriovenous malformation. Call it an AVM for short, in the right occipital lobe of my brain. So basically, an AVM, for those who are unaware, an AVM is a tangle of abnormal blood vessels in the brain, a tangle of abnormal vessels that don't have capillaries. So it's actually quite dangerous because the blood flows directly from your arteries to the veins. And yeah, I was informed that this is actually quite dangerous and that the blood flow is unregulated. And I should look into what I could do about this. So I consulted with a lot of different doctors, the majority of which told me your AVM is so big, it's grade 6 AVM. It is considered inoperable. We don't feel comfortable doing this surgery. The rest said your AVM is so big, it needs to get taken out immediately. So I then had like a lot of mixed opinions and I wasn't really sure what to do about it. But ultimately, I did decide that I would move forward with a brain surgery because I didn't like the idea of having a ticking time bomb in my brain. So I decided I was going to get brain surgery after I graduated from college. So this is a picture of me on the day of my college graduation. I went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and I graduated on May 20th, 2017. That's me and my family. 10 days after my college graduation, I check into New York Presbyterian, which is near where I lived. My family lived in New Jersey, and I decided to do the surgery in New York City. 10 days later, after I graduate from college, I'm checking in for this procedure. I was told that since my AVM is so big, I had to have preoperative procedure beforehand. Unfortunately for me, that preoperative procedure ended up causing a blood clot in my brain, which burst. So I end up having a massive stroke in the hospital, and I'm rushed into an emergency surgery. The emergency surgery did end up being successful. My neurosurgeon was able to stop the bleeding and remove the AVM from my brain. I was placed into a medically induced coma. However, when I awoke, I was completely paralyzed on the left side of my body. And I am left side dominant, I should also add. I'm left-handed. When I woke up, I was so surprised to discover that I could not move anything. My arm, my leg, I could not speak on my own. I could not swallow. I was basically starting from square one all over again, having to learn all of the skills I'd once taken for granted. So that picture on the left is me in the ICU following that emergency brain surgery that I had. That's me and my mom and my brother and my sister and me in the hospital. I spent 15 days in the ICU, where the biggest thing I learned how to do was how to sit up in a wheelchair. Then I was discharged to inpatient subacute rehab, which I did at Kessler in West Orange, which is like very near where I grew up and where my family was living. So the picture on the right is me at Kessler. You can see I can't even bring my head to midline. I wasn't able really to do anything. I had rotated vertebrae, so I could not hold my head straight. Um, and so I went into inpatient for 5 weeks, where I learned how to walk with a cane. Um, I do actually have a quick little video I can show you guys of that. So here, this is me actually in the, I guess I don't need the volume. Uh, That's me learning how to walk at Kessler when I was in the inpatient rehab, and that's me walking with my brother. During this time, when I was learning how to walk with a cane again, I could not walk very many steps before I would have to sit down in my wheelchair. And that was just a huge thing for me to be able. I really desperately wanted to regain my independence. And for me, that was I want to be able to walk on my own. I don't want to have a cane. I told my physical therapist I have a follow-up with my surgeon at the end of September. This is 4 months after the stroke. I don't care what it takes. I am going to walk into my doctor's office without a cane. And luckily for me, my PT was like very on board with all of the goals and plans that I would come to him with. So he was like, okay, that's great. Let's find out a way how to do that. So he came up with a plan for me and different exercises. And he knows that I'm very goal oriented. So he would tell me, we're going to do these exercises. This is why you're doing it. And this is how it's going to help you. Um, so here's a picture of me actually. I'm in Durham, North Carolina, about 3 months after I had the stroke, and that video was me. Oh, I went too far ahead. That video was me walking with my dad at our hotel in North Carolina, learning and just practicing leading up to this big appointment that I had with my doctor. Lo and behold, all of that practice did add up, and I was able to walk into my doctor's office without the cane. it didn't look that pretty, but I was able to do it. So all of the practice does add up. This is a picture of when my first book came out. This was in September 2018. So this was like a year and a half after I had the stroke. A year and a half after I had the stroke, speaking to I was speaking to one of my closest college professors from Georgetown, and I told him that I was feeling left out. All of my friends are starting new jobs, moving to cities, and I'm just going into rehab every day, and it sucks, and I hated it. And my professor told me, you are in a very unique position, Maddi. You have the opportunity to reinvent yourself. You can create yourself however you want. I had a job lined up after I'd graduated from Georgetown, and I was going to move up to Boston and begin a career in technology sales. However, that didn't end up happening because obviously I had the stroke and I had to go through rehab. So I wasn't really focusing so much on my I didn't really have as much time to focus on my career. I was trying to be able to regain the normal skills of being able to walk and things that I had once taken for granted. And so I my professor told me, why don't you take this time to really learn about things that you're interested in and, take this opportunity to reinvent yourself. I settled on fashion because it was an industry I had always been interested in, but never had thought of as like a plausible thing for me to be doing or a career since I didn't necessarily have a lot of experience in the industry I thought who would hire me. And so I just ended up talking to people, everyone from editors to models, fashion executives to small business owners, writing up their stories and drawing commonalities between them. And I put all of that into my first book, which came out a year and a half after my stroke. The interesting thing about this book, though, and which why I bring it up today, is because I wove in anecdotes about how I was using the act of writing a book as a tool in my cognitive rehab. I literally hated rehab, and it sounds bad, but I did. I hated going to therapy, and it just felt kind of dumb to me. But I understood that it was necessary, but at least when I was working on a book, it felt a little more um when I was working on this book, it felt a little more interesting and a little more like relevant to me specifically. So people seem to really resonate with that. And it was a cool way for me to work on my cognitive rehab, while not like, explicitly going into a cognitive rehab setting. In my rehab journey, I also did constraint therapy. So I went to the Taub Clinic at Birmingham, and my apologies, I am losing my voice, so a little bit slower this morning. Uh, Constraint therapy is when they constrain your good side so that you have to do exercises explicitly with your affected side. So here are some examples of me doing constraint therapy. This was about 2 years after I had the stroke. So doing different exercises in therapy. And that really also kickstarted my journey and helped me to regain specific skill sets with my leg. And then I also went with my arm. But I think in this presentation, I only am showing videos from my leg. So this was a really cool experience for me to be able to focus on my leg and then go back and be able to focus on my arm. Yeah, this just shows that I went back for my arm. That's me and Dr. Taub, who is the man who started the constraint therapy. I love telling people about constraint therapy because I feel like it really did help me a lot in getting to use my affected side and integrating it into my daily life more. What my therapist there said was use it or lose it. And so to me, I always think I always think back on that use it or lose it because it's very important. If we don't use our affected side, if we don't engage our affected side in our daily life, what's the point, right? Like it becomes it falls into disuse, and by not using it, it's never going to get any better. So I always tell people, and something I try to do for myself as well, is just engage my left hand as much as I can. So I started my Instagram account. Oh, that was on the previous slide. My Instagram account is here at Maddi Stroke of Luck. And then I started going live and hosting a podcast with my co-host. Her name is Tawny. On Instagram, we'll go live together every week. We interview other stroke survivors, and our goal is to connect the community and inspire and empower others. Um, and so I started doing this with her 5 years ago, almost to the day. I think it was September 29th, 2019. And we're coming up to that very same date this year. So we've been doing this for about 5 years, and it's been a great way to build community and just connect with other survivors. Uh, One of the biggest things for me with my journey is that I lost half of the vision of my left side on both eyes. So I had a surgery. It's called a bilateral strabismus surgery to correct that. Um, at least such that I'm now able to wear contacts because I had that surgery. I was wearing prism lenses, and it was just very difficult, and it still is. I live in New York City, and in New York, like I'm always walking down the street, and people, I have to be extra aware that people will cross past me from the left side and I won't see them. So that's been like probably the biggest adjustment is the lack of vision, the loss of vision I have that I've had to deal with. And that's been one of the hardest things for me. These are just some examples of how I incorporate therapy into my daily life. So, this is a video of me from 2020 teaching myself how to do push-ups, and that's my dad kind of helping me. You see, I use a weight-bearing splint. So, I'm always looking for ways to find creative therapy opportunities. And then here's me now doing it. This is a few months after that, doing it on my own. So, even though the activities, I share this video because even though the activities that we do may look a little different, at least for me, they certainly do. Like I don't do push-ups like how I used to, but I try to not focus so much on how it looks different now, but in the fact that like I am still finding creative ways to engage in activities and travel and connect with others. So in 2020, right around the time of the pandemic, my second book came out. And this book is called Fast Forward, The Fully Recovered Mindset. And it's about the lessons that I've learned in my recovery, specifically around how to channel a positive mindset to enhance my recovery. And I just love this quote that one of my stroke recovery friends shared, or one of the dads of one of my stroke recovery friends shared about how my book had a positive impact on him. So I usually just like to put that on here. I'm not going to read it out loud because I am losing my voice, but I think if you can read that here, basically just sharing how my book helped him to change his perspective. Sorry, we don't need to look at those. This is just I actually just put this here because I was interested in fashion. I actually ended up working for Hermes. So I worked in luxury fashion for about 3 years. Most recently, I've just switched jobs, but I was working in fashion, then I switched and I had the opportunity to walk the runway for New York Fashion Week earlier this month for the Runway of Dreams adaptive fashion show. So I modeled on the runway. Victoria's Secret has an adaptive collection. So this is me walking down the runway. actually wearing my psionic neural sleeve on the runway. So that was, I just like to share this because it's so cool that I was able to participate in a major New York Fashion Week show and wear my neural sleeve. So also raising awareness. And then the other picture on the side, that's me. A couple of years ago, I was asked to be a model for a swimsuit calendar featuring models with physical disabilities. And so I ended up doing that. And, then earlier this month, I'm modeling in New York Fashion Week. So I just like any opportunity to be an advocate and to share my journey and show that people, we may have disabilities, but like, look, we are still confident and beautiful and hopefully empowering and inspiring others to also share their journeys. Because one thing I've learned from this is that we are definitely stronger together. I mentioned that I travel the world as well. So this is me and my business partner, you can call her Chloe. We started Disability Travel Diaries together. And she lives in the Netherlands, I live in New York City, and we share the experience of traveling with physical disability. And that's a picture of us in Amsterdam, us in Belgium. And we just like to share. Went over the summer actually to stay with her in the Netherlands, and we went to the Paris Olympics together. And we just created a lot of content around that and sharing our journey of, what it is like to explore the world and travel with a physical disability. And this is just a random video of me and Chloe. She is an ambulant wheelchair user and she needed help pushing her hand bike towards the elevator. And so I obviously had to turn it into a therapy opportunity. So that's me using both of my hands to roll her hand bike towards the elevator. I like to put that video there because I think it's so funny, but also like a really cool way to show that any opportunity is an opportunity to engage in therapy, to do our rehab. Like I really do my best to try to turn every moment, every time that I get the chance to, into therapy. Use it or lose it, like we were saying before. Super quick. So last summer, I was invited by the World Health Organization to share my patient testimonial at their global rehab meeting in Geneva, Switzerland. So I went to Geneva last summer and met some really cool people, and I just like to share these photos because that was a really great advocacy opportunity, which I had. Thanks to me sharing my journey on social media. I never would have gotten to meet such cool people. This is me and the Chief Deputy Minister of Health of Tajikistan and Uganda. And then that's me and Jenny Clark, who is the mother of Amelia Clark, who had a stroke, and they have an organization called Same You. And so those are just some pictures from what was another cool advocacy experience I had. Here I just say I share my story to connect and help others, and I can't read this because of the um, to connect and discover and show what is possible. We are multifaceted, complex beings, and we are not solely our injury, disability. And that is one major message that I like to share is I went through a lot of time after my stroke thinking, why did this happen to me? No one will ever be able to see me beyond having had a stroke. But I know now that that is not true and that we are more than our strokes and our disability, and it may inform who we are as people, but it is not the sole defining thing of us. Oh, shoot. Hang on. Earlier this summer, I hosted a trip to Bali with a bunch of other stroke survivors, and it was crazy. I just like to bring this up because I am passionate about building community and bringing the community together. And I brought the community together halfway across the world in Indonesia, and we did a lot of like really cool stuff. And it was not the most accessible experience, but the good thing about it was a lot of us survivors, we just help each other and we're there to figure it out. And they all had the same mindset as me of like, let's find a way to make it happen and we can help each other along the way. And a lot of the survivors who came on that trip said to me after, like, wow, I never in a million years could have imagined that I would be traveling with other stroke survivors and like traveling so far across the world too. So I just feel like anything is possible, right? Like, this is crazy. We went to Bali, to Indonesia, and we had the time of our lives, and it was truly an amazing experience. And I feel like very grateful and thankful to have met, excuse me, other survivors who were so interested in pushing themselves and taking it to the next level and finding an opportunity to meet other people and also at the same time explore a new place. So, speaking of engaging in therapy in your daily life, this brings me to the next point of my presentation, which is the psionic neural sleeve. As Ralph mentioned, I have recently switched jobs. Now I am the community engagement and advocacy manager at CIONIC, and CIONIC's product is the neural sleeve, which is essentially a full leg brace, which I wear myself to help with walking. And hang on, how do I put volume on? Stimulates my quads, my hamstrings, and my calf. So like my entire leg. It helps me with walking and then just provides a stimulation to the muscles to help retrain them too. Right? Okay. It's probably easier if you could see it more here. In the beginning, I just like this video. This is actually me and my friend Chloe, who does disability travel diaries with me. We're walking down the streets in the Netherlands over the summer, and I was wearing my neural sleeve. So that's the neural sleeve, full leg brace, and I'll show you some more videos of it later. And then this is just another video of me walking in it. That was like last month, actually, in California. But I'm going to also, for the second part of this presentation, share with you guys a bit about the neural sleeve. So just a little bit of background, a bit about CIONIC as a company. We build bionic clothing to augment human movement. And so we've won a bunch of awards in Fast Company Innovation by Design. And then other like, so there's a bunch of, it's very renowned. We are also the first FDA cleared bionic clothing. And here, this is a really good video. I just want to show you guys that really explains what the neural sleeve is well.
Have you ever thought about what it takes to walk or swim or kick a soccer ball? Well, that all depends on something called upper motor neuron signaling. That might sound complicated, but let me break it down. Moving your body requires an elaborate choreography of many muscles, all of which are controlled by your brain. Your brain sends a precise sequence of commands through your nervous system in the form of tiny electric pulses that tell your muscles to contract or relax. This system works so well, you don't even have to think about it. But for those with multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, or who have experienced a stroke, signals from the brain don't always arrive like they should. And then the muscles don't move as the brain intends. The psionic neural sleeve works by replacing these missing or mistimed signals from the brain. The neural sleeve generates its own electrical pulses that contract each of the 4 main leg muscles through more than 20 electrodes located throughout the sleeve. As the leg moves through space, our machine learning software is simultaneously observing each user's unique way of walking and adapting to it. personalizing muscle contractions for each user and getting smarter with every step. We spent a lot of time ensuring that it looked and felt exactly like clothing, so that it was comfortable enough to wear all day, discreet enough that it could be worn under clothing, and cool enough that you could show it off. We also wanted to help people set and achieve their mobility goals. So we developed an app. With this app, users can perform different exercises, track their progress, and get the most out of their sleeves. The ultimate goal is to help our users regain neural plasticity, rebuild neural pathways, and support movement even when they are not wearing the sleeve. With the CIONIC neural sleeve, there is finally a high-tech mobility option that truly focuses on the connection between the brain and the body.
All right, cool. Let me get out of that. There we go. Yeah, I just feel like that. I love that video. Like a company in the Bay Area had made that for us, and I just think it explains really well how the neural sleeve works and what it is. How do I wait a minute. Sorry, I'm like sorry. I get so confused with how to work these like PowerPoints sometimes. Um, anyway, so just a little bit more about the neural sleeve. It does provide full leg assistance. So as I'd mentioned earlier, it's the full leg. So that's what I like about it. Hamstrings, quads, shins, calves, and like depending on your diagnosis, like we have some users who have multiple sclerosis, so they wear one on both legs. I myself only wear one because I only have foot drop on one leg, as a hemiplegic person. But yeah, I like that it provides full leg stimulation, and there is also a huge library of exercises you can do from a seated position or a standing position as well. So sometimes, like, I'll just be sitting at my desk and I'll be doing eversion exercises while I do that. So I think that it's cool that there's just lots of options there, apart from the gait mode. There is an app like the video mentioned, so it does have real-time analysis, and the algorithm will correct as you are going about your day. So one thing I've noticed that when I wear the sleeve is like I'll be taking a few steps and like maybe I'll step a little weird or something, and then the algorithm will pick up on that and it will correct uh, the way that it needs to function. So I do really like that it's constantly listening to your gait patterns and making the necessary adjustments as you go about it with every step you take. App controlled. You will get one of the coolest things about the neural sleeve, in my opinion, is that at the end of each month, you do get your gait report. So you will get like a report on your use of the sleeve. So how many steps you've taken, exercises, all of that. And it's cool because you can share it with your care team as well. So I could show my doctor. My doctor is very pro neural sleeve as well. So he likes to see all this stuff. Um, and you can share it with your therapist. And I just think that it's really cool that you're able to track your progress. For me personally, I set myself a goal of 10,000 steps a day. So I like to be able to track and see if I'm hitting that each day. Another really great thing about the neural sleeve, another great thing about the neural sleeve is that it is comfortable, it's sleek, it fits easily under like literally any clothing. You can wear it under a dress, under shorts, under pants. I'll wear it under everything. Like, and it's cool too because it is rather sleek. It's easy to show off as well. So like sometimes if I'm wearing a dress, I like to be able to match my sleeve to the dress that I'm wearing. It does come in two colors, which makes it easy to do that. So there is a black one and a blue one. I am rather fashion conscious myself, as we were talking about earlier in the presentation. So I actually have both colors, so I'll wear it like depending on what outfit I'm wearing. And I like that it affords me more opportunities with shoes as well. That was a big thing. With an AFO, I can't wear a lot of shoes, but with something like the sleeve, I definitely can wear more like loafers, boots. I've even worn small heels, so you can wear all sorts of different things, and I find that to be like one of the biggest draws for me as someone who is like rather style and fashion conscious. Also, I should definitely just make a quick mention that it does accommodate to a broad range of mobility profiles. So people who can walk around independently and don't need help, but also like, we have a lot of users who will use walkers or canes with the sleeve as well. So I think it's important to know that whether you're walking 100 steps a day or 10,000 steps a day or 2,000 steps a day, like it is definitely could be a good fit for you. Like I myself, I'm kind of crazy and I like to push the limits of my own ability a lot. So like I'll walk a ton and that's easy to do here in the city. So I'll wear my sleeve like, many thousands of steps a day, but it's important to mention that it can be depending on what your mobility goals is. You can wear it for just a little bit of time. Like I know I have a friend, a girl who wears the neural sleeve, and she basically just wears it around her house, like to be able to go up the stairs and down. And that's really cool. Like for me, I wear mine out and about. In the house, I don't usually wear it as much, but it just depends what you're looking for and what your mobility profile is. Um, just some quick research highlights. It says 94% of participants showed increased ankle dorsiflexion at the heel strike, 9 degrees of improvement, and 88% showed increased inversion. For me, as a hemiplegic stroke survivor, I have issues with the eversion and the dorsiflexion. So that is mainly what the sleeve helps me with. But you can easily modify the settings of the sleeve and have it geared more towards what you are looking for. So it is a very seamless virtual onboarding process from start to finish. And that's, I think, one of the best parts of it is that it is all virtual. Once you get the neural sleeve, you'll complete virtual onboarding with one of our mobility specialists, and they will help you set the settings of the sleeve based off of what it is that you need, if it's dorsiflexion, eversion, what have you. You'll send in a walking video so that they can see your gait before, and then they'll help you set all of your settings. Just a little bit really quickly about what the payment is. So it is a pay as you go. So there is a $260 down payment with $260 a month for the first year, followed by the second year onward is $120. And that is inclusive of, so you'll be getting all the electrode replenishments that you need, meetings with your mobility specialist as you need it to figure out and coordinate the neural sleeve. And sometimes your settings will change. Like I've noticed that for myself. Depending on also like later in the day, if I get more fatigued, I might need a little bit more power in my sleeve. So I like that I can modify it as the day goes on. It is also something that we feel strongly that you can cancel anytime or put your account on pause for a few months. So if it's not working for you, you shouldn't have to pay for it. So it is something that we will definitely can accommodate with you if you need to take a break or if you need to cancel at any time because it's not working for you or you don't need it anymore. It is FSA and HSA eligible. We are also covered under the VA. So if there are any veterans on here that would be interested in it, we are covered by VA. And you can submit through private insurance. I have seen that covered on a case-by-case basis. We're not currently covered by Medicare and Medicaid. However, that is something that we are very, very intensely working on right now. So I'm hopeful that coming up soon that it would be. But right now, it would just be covered on case-by-case private insurance and then the VA benefits. So also happy to talk with anyone more about that if you would like.
Maddie, there's a question in the comments
Oh, great.
asking how does this compare to Bioness?
So okay, yeah, I love this question because I actually have the Bioness myself as well. So I wear the L300 Go. Um, I would not say that anyone is better than the other. Like they're just different, and I like them for different reasons. I love the Bioness, and I wear that actually a lot as well. But what I like about the neural sleeve is that it stimulates the whole leg. So I like that I can get the full leg stimulation, which I don't get that with my Bioness because for the Bioness, I wear it just for the dorsiflexion and eversion. So it's no better or worse. It's just the way I see it is it's just another solution. It's another tool that can be incorporated into your stroke recovery toolbox. So that's why I like it. It's no better or worse. It's just different and it stimulates different muscles, obviously. It's the whole leg. So I hope that answers the question. Was there anything else scary?
The other question was actually from me. I was asking, do you have any progress reports or before and after your experience with the CIONIC sleeve?
Yes. So the progress reports you get at the end of each month, it'll tell you your progress for how much that you've been using it. Um But I could look back and see, I'm sure I do have videos of how I walk without it and then with it. I showed you guys earlier a video of me walking with it and what that looks like. But yes, at the end of each month, you'll receive an email with your use, and that will have your progress report, which you can share with your doctors. We have people who will share it with their doctors, with their therapists, and get their care team very involved in it.
You could see a major difference in the before and after videos. I could.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I walk much better because when I walk without the with if I walk without the sleeve, I just kind of walk like a thump, like a stomp, right? Like I have no heel toe strike. So that's the biggest thing that the sleeve helps me with.
I have a question. Is it
Yes.
easy to put, how easy is it to put on and take off?
I only can really use one hand. I put it on by myself with one hand. It took like a little bit of practice. Like maybe it took a couple of weeks for me to feel comfortable to do it and figure out where the placement needed to go, but it's definitely something you could do with one hand, considering I do it myself with one hand every day.
Cool, cool. And do you feel it like when it stimulates you, what does that feel like? Does it just, I mean, do you notice it
I think
stimulating so much?
yes. Yeah, so you do feel it, but it's not too like uncomfortable or anything. Like I don't know if are you familiar with other devices that give
Not
function?
really. No, no, not really, but
Um, yeah, so it does give stimulation. But and you can feel it, but it's not like I wouldn't say it's anything too crazy.
it's
And
not
you
exhausting you.
it's definitely nothing too crazy.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't have I know we're not on the PowerPoint anymore, but I do have a code if anyone is interested, and I know Ralph is going to share it, but I'll just type it in the chat as well. Let me pull up the link to the Psionic page and share it here.
Is that the link to the demo this afternoon?
Well, yes, so there is a demo. If you want to learn more about the neural sleeve, I'll be giving a presentation about it at 4 p.m. Eastern. And I know, yeah, Ralph, you can share that link. And I'll share my referral code for anyone who is interested in making a purchase of the neural sleeve. But also, I know, Ralph, you're sharing my email and everything. So if anyone wants to
Uh,
talk more about it, you can reach out.
I was going to put all of the different links and on your contact information, everything underneath the video once it gets edited, but that won't happen before 4 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is go back with that link and post it in the 7 groups that I put the link to this presentation in. And that way anybody, wherever you found it,
I
it'll be in that group, or in all the 7 groups I always post in. So I'll do a separate
I
on that so that it's easy to find, and I'll do that after this meeting.
Judy is asking, she wrote clinical trials with a question mark, so I'm sure she's asking other trials
Yes,
on.
we do have some trials going on. I would recommend to get information on those, I would recommend that you join the email list. So let me just pull that link for you and you can subscribe. You can subscribe to the newsletter here, and there we do have some trials going on. I'm not exactly sure what's going on at this time, but we can connect you, or if you send me an email, I put my email up here. It's Maddie@cionic.com. Send me an email and I will connect you with the clinical trials team who can give you more information on that.
I have a question. This is Mindy. Maddie, I have a question. I don't even know if it's a question. Is this something in relation to the clinical trials? Is there, or do you, maybe you don't know about, is it something that is possible about the arm, wearing something on the arm?
Like an arm device?
Yeah.
So we don't have one right now. However, that is something that is in like development and that is being worked on and something that we want to expand to. But at this time, it's just the sleeve.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I wrote down a few things, but I was going to let everybody, say ask their questions first.
I have one. Maddie, is there any use cases related to the sleeve being used in sports? I'm a wheelchair fencer and I do non-disabled fencing too, where I am forced to stand up and compete. Do you know of any use cases used in either training or competition?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, people do use it to play sports. Yes, we actually had one of our users run a marathon in the neural sleeve quite recently. So I know that people will use it for sporting type events. I don't see why fencing would not. Wait, I didn't know you were a wheelchair fencer. That's so cool. I have a friend who just competed in the Paralympics for wheelchair fencing.
Shelby Jensen. Was it Shelby?
No, my friend Oliver. But
Oh, interesting.
that's
From
Gary and Shelby Jensen did also, and we started a fencing after stroke group. So maybe you'll
that's
connect
so cool.
Gary and Oliver, or Oliver to that group. And
Yeah,
Polly,
let's talk about that, definitely.
I will email you after this about the fencing side of stroke buddies and notice them
Excellent.
here if
Polly
anyone's
has a question. Go ahead, Polly. Ask you to unmute.
Hey, Polly.
You're muted.
I'm coming. The captions go over the control buttons for the Zoom meeting. So you have to wait till the captions clear out to.
You can move the captions. You just pick them up and move them wherever you want.
Oh, thanks.
You put them
That
over
was
me, so
helpful.
you don't have to look at me.
I was just gonna say I have both the Bioness. I have the Bioness L360 Go, which is I use it for hamstrings when I'm walking to increase knee flexion. And I also have the Psionic Neural Sleeve. And I'll say one reason that I got the Psionic Neural Sleeve was because you can wear it all day versus the Bioness, which you can only wear for 3 to 4 hours before you have to take it off and re-wet the electrodes. So that was a big selling point for me.
That is a good point, Polly. Definitely. Yeah, I also like to wear my sleeve all day, and the battery pack does last about 8 hours. Sometimes though, if I'm like, I have a break or I'm sitting down in between, like I'll charge it for a little bit just to give it some more battery, but it does have a pretty substantial battery life, and you don't need to take off the sleeve to re-put in the battery pack, which is nice.
I will say one kind of caveat. I was really hoping the neural sleeve would enable me to walk as you do without an AFO. But unfortunately, during my onboarding, the first thing they had me do was put back on the AFO, and I only use the neural sleeve for hamstring circuit stimulation. So that's a trade-off where the Bioness and the neural sleeve are equivalent because I'm only using that stimulation. And it's because I have severe spasticity and it just can't. Even my PT said that when I'm walking in either the neural sleeve or the Bioness, that they really don't see any increased knee flexion from the stimulation of either of them. They see some improvement in the in eversion that I'm not inverting as much. But if you have severe spasticity, be aware. And let me tell you, I would definitely go to the neural sleeve because I think their pricing model is the most fair I have seen for any rehabilitation device. And that was one thing that, even though it didn't work for me like I wanted it to, and like the designers wanted it to, I continued to pay for it because I could use my HSA account, which is great. And because the pricing model is so fair, I really do want to support the company. It didn't work for me, but I could have sent it back after they did the onboarding and it wasn't working like we wanted it to. I could have sent it back and I'd have had no further financial obligation. And so I just think that's a really, really fair pricing model.
So Polly, one of my questions to Maddi, and either one of you can answer this, is, so Polly, do you wear it during PT, and can you wear it during PT to do, exercises?
You
Oh,
definitely
yes.
Okay, one at a time.
Yeah, sorry. You go ahead, Polly.
Either one first.
Well, especially Maddi, since sounds like I do a lot more therapy than you do. Yes. And it is supported by my therapists. They are very interested in all of the data that they can get from using it and that I can see in the app, and that they can see just using the app to see how I'm walking and what's happening versus just looking at me. They can control things through the app and change some of the stimulation and see. So yes, definitely it can be used in partnership with therapy and should be.
That's what I thought, but I thought I would ask.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people like the therapists, if they weren't aware of the neural sleeve, like they like to learn about it and get involved. So I think, yes, the more you can involve your care team, definitely good,
And also to look out for, and they're rolling out their centers of excellence. And those are therapy centers and other rehabilitation facilities that have been designated as sources of information and support for the neural sleeve.
Exactly. And you guys have my email now. So if you have any questions or want to be connected to see if there is a center of excellence near to where you live, please just send me an email. I'm happy to, chat further with you or connect you to one if there's one by you.
Have there been any studies on what they call carryover, teaching your brain how to do it without the sleeve?
We definitely have people experience carryover effect. I think there's a study or something on it, but I don't have that information right now, so I can't really speak on it.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case, or that
would probably be a question for like our clinical.
It's also new enough that those studies could actually be underway now, and the results aren't out. But I thought I would ask it because everybody's always interested in, can I get away from, can I learn how to do it again and get away from the device?
Yeah, because we do have people who, maybe they find out after some time they don't need it anymore. So then we have this cancel any time plan. So you can definitely just do that. And that's the ideal situation, is someone doesn't even need our product anymore.
I got a couple of quick observations. Number one, I've known Tawny for 3 years. Didn't know you guys were doing that together. We've had her on twice.
5 years now, we've been doing it every
Right.
week.
I heard. I'm shocked that I didn't know somehow or
You're not
another.
on Instagram, you said, or you're not
She does
active on
on
Instagram.
Instagram, and I don't. I'm not a Instagram fan. They won't let you post links, and a lot of what I do is posting.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, and I'm too old, but that's another story. Dr. Taub, I was surprised. I've thought about getting him to come on Tuesday, but he's 93, which made him 88 in that picture. He looks about 58 in that picture with you.
He's the nicest guy. He's so great.
I think
Yeah, he's 93. No, he's not. No way.
I looked him up. I looked him up during this meeting just to be sure. Yep, quick facts. Born 1931, age 93.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
See, I had this picture of him. I know that I found the guy. I've thought about doing something on both mass practice and constraint-induced movement therapy, and I found that I got this picture in my head of him being 93 and not being still at working or anything, and obviously he's more vital than I thought. So maybe I wrote down to pursue that, see what else. Interestingly enough, I went to Bali in January and February, and I think that picture is the same dance theater that I went to, the one.
Really? Wait, that's so fun. I loved Bali.
I did too. I went on a ship like you did, and that would be a whole nother. We should do something, not you and me, but
Yeah.
I should do something on travel. But we have a travel after stroke group.
Yeah, no, I will. I mean,
Traveling after stroke is interesting, and a cruise ship, as you found out, is very interesting and sometimes very challenging. Like when the ship's moving and the tender's moving, and you got to
oh,
step.
we didn't do a cruise, although that would have been cool.
Oh, I
I've still
did. Okay.
been on a cruise. But we went to a few places. I like hosted this trip for stroke survivors. And it, like I said, it wasn't the most accessible, but we made it work because everyone kind of had a similar mindset of like, we're gonna find a way to do this. Like we just want to get out and see new places. And yeah, so we went to Ubud and Canggu,
One
which
of the
was
things I found is there are lots of places that aren't as accessible, but I love the escalators that stay flat for 3 or 4 steps before they split.
yes, exactly.
Especially going down, because on an elevator and the escalator in the US, you've got like about one chance and about 1 second to get yourself and your wheelie, if you got a carry on, onto that one step before it splits. And I found a bunch where almost everywhere I went in Southeast Asia and the Middle East on the layover flights, they had escalators with 3 or 4 flat steps going up and going down, and we need to have those everywhere. They make life a lot easier. So let's see what else. That's pretty
I
much.
don't think there were any other questions. I was just looking back at the chat too.
I was going to tell Ralph that I was on with Maddie and Tawny, what, about 2 years ago?
Yeah, we got to do a follow-up, Polly.
There you go.
I don't know. I don't know how I missed that. I'm from friends with Tawny and friends with Polly. I mean, I know about most things going on, but somehow
Ralph, you're friends with me too.
yeah, I know. Well, that was obvious.
Like, oh my goodness.
We're here now.
Exactly.
As I mentioned to you, I'm thinking about coming to Charlotte and seeing your keynote.
I'll put my Instagram in here too, because that's a good place if anyone wants to connect. That's where I'm most active. Polly knows.
It's where I'm least active, and maybe that's why. Because like Tawny does most of her stuff, even the stuff she doesn't do with you, she does almost all of it on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. And we do all our stuff on Instagram too.
I sometimes listen to her chatting with her mom. Those are always interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Oh, and Maddie,
Yeah.
I did invite Ralph to go out to dinner with us if he comes to
Oh,
Charlotte.
yes, he was
And
telling me before this. We're doing it.
And my OT went to school with Darcy, who runs Back to Independence Rehab in Charlotte, and they are a neuro rehabilitation gym. She opened it during the pandemic, and
Oh,
she's
yeah, I
great.
still want to connect with her since
So
it'll be
I invited her to dinner too.
perfect. Is she coming?
She said she was going to try to come hear you speak, but I
Okay.
don't know if she can get away in the middle of the day. So I said, please come
Right.
to dinner with us.
Yeah, no problem. That's perfect.
Well, it's like 3 to 6, so dinner would be after, right?
Exactly. Be after that. Cool.
All right. Anybody got anything else? Going once, going twice. I feel like the auctioneer.
Exactly. And you have all my links and stuff, so I know you'll share that to the
Yeah.
anyone who watches it
In
afterwards.
case somebody wasn't here, didn't, I'm gonna put all the links underneath the video once it's edited. It'll stay up live on YouTube until it gets edited, and then we usually unlist them. And
And you said you have the
sure.
link to the CIONIC presentation, which I'm doing at
Yep.
4 o'clock. So if anyone wants more information on the neural sleeve, Ralph can send you that link to register. I'll be
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post it in the same 7 groups that I posted the announcement for this meeting in, and then everybody here is a member of one of those groups because that's how they're here. They had to see
yeah.
it somewhere. So whatever
On that,
group you saw this in, you can go back to that group. And if anybody needs it, I'll send it out individually, but I don't want to have to send it out individually well, I won't know except for the people in this meeting. And if I post it, you might actually get 30 or 40 people who want to come to that who didn't come to this. So
on this topic, if you're going to post the discount code on YouTube, does the discount code have an expiry date, Maddie, or is it
No,
potential?
no, it'll always be.
Cool, no worries, just so I know.
okay, well, probably won't post the 4 o'clock thing on the YouTube video because it'll be over by the time the YouTube video gets edited. I'll edit it later today and put it up tonight. So the 4 o'clock will be over. But I attended one. They're pretty informative. And I love the way they do screen sharing with, I guess it's with webinars, Zoom webinars or something. The screen switching and displays were great. It has nothing to do with the information, but I'm a video TD and I'm not real happy with Zoom Basic in terms of what I can do. So anyway, anybody's got anything else? Otherwise, I'll let Maddie get back to the rest of her day.
All right, and you guys have my email, so any questions come up, please just shoot me over an email. And I'm happy to talk more.
Before you go, we want to thank you for sharing your story and for giving us an overview of the sleeve and taking the time to educate people.
Thank you so much, Ralph, and thank you guys all. I hope to hear from you soon. All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Have a good day. Bye.
Do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are. Do all you can. Do all you can.